How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper. My goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading, whether the price is going up or down. Over on Dixie for the daily, we are pushing against our 300 EMA. We were above it just before starting the video, and now we are seeing a little bit of a pullback, so I would watch. If we reject this, we could see crypto fall as well. Our altcoins aren't doing so well, but Bitcoin is trading with the dollar index right now. Our stochastic is pretty flat. Momentum is starting to round. VWAP does want to pull back. RSI could start to weaken if that stochastic makes a break. It has been overbought for quite some time, and usually when it's overbought for quite some time, you do see a bit of a drop like back here. You saw price did run up, we were overbought, and we did eventually retrace. You have other examples like back here, so we were overbought, then we kind of flash crashed down, and we also did move very quickly up. You can see just green candle after green candle. This does put us in a spot where we could make a rejection and see bearish momentum. Remember, when you go straight up, you do end up falling back down. Back here, we got a few green candles in a row. We did retrace almost all the gains. Back here, we got a lot of red candles in a row. We did pump away from all the losses. That is also the same for this big loss here. But you can see we saw very quick gains here. We lost it. Very quick gains here. Lost it. So warn against any quick movement. So over on Bitcoin dominance for the daily, we are pushing forward, making a new high. This is positive. We are seeing Bitcoin outperform our altcoins. Some altcoins, most of our altcoins we're watching, are losing against Bitcoin. Stochastic does want to push up. RSI is starting to round away. Momentum is gaining strength. VWAP is pushing up, and money flow is gaining strength. So we are seeing Bitcoin outperform the market. We are seeing altcoins give up some of their gains. Our total market cap of all the altcoins besides Ethereum is kind of struggling here to break out of this golden pocket, and if we can't break away from this previous bear market consolidation zone, that's what this blue channel is, then we could end up rejecting away and staying within this zone, possibly retesting some lows if we're not careful. Stochastic does want to round. RSI is starting to pull back. Momentum is rounding. VWAP is pulling back, and money flow is starting to weaken, so I would exercise caution. So, skip futures. So just remember, drop by any requests in the chat. So over on Bitcoin futures for the daily, we are pushing forward again. We do have several green candles in a row, and we haven't seen much retracement. I would warn against that, as we did almost push toward our 70K area, almost gained that full break up, and now we do have the potential to see that stochastic starting to round. RSI is pulling back. VWAP is pushing down, and momentum is rounding. This could end up pushing us away if lower time frames start to break into bearish trends. So keep an eye on these lower time frames. That's why we cover the daily and the 1 hour, because that 1 hour is going to lead the 2 hour and 4 hour. So remember, you kind of want to watch all those time frames. We're just trying to cover like the base level, what you need to be looking at. Over on futures, stochastic is pulling back. RSI is starting to pull back as well. Momentum is running away. VWAP has lower lows with lower highs, and that is starting to weaken that money flow. If that VWAP stays in the bearish territory, it's likely we are going to start losing some EMAs, so I would watch for a break and a rejection of that blue EMA. Once we see that, it's likely we could make a push down toward that 65.5. And remember, we do have those gaps to the downside, and I did warn that any quick move up could end up being retraced because of those gaps, and we are starting to see some hints of that. Over on Bitcoin for the daily, stochastic does want to round. RSI is pretty flat, so watch that stochastic. If it gives up strength, RSI could lead price lower. Momentum is rounding away. VWAP is pulling back after getting higher highs, so watch for lower lows with lower highs from here. If we see that, momentum will continue to weaken, and money flow will start to pull back. So watch those lower time frames. Remember, if that 1 hour holds bearish for several hours, then we could end up breaking away. So if you're in our Discord, link down below. If you can't get it, leave me a comment and I will give you a link. That way you can join us. But we would have warned against this rising channel, and we would have warned that it could break us down. Just before the video, we did try to break back into our channel, and now we are attempting to reject. I would watch very close, because this does have the possibility to push us toward that 66.8. If we do lose that zone, which would be about that yellow EMA, then we could see bears continue bearish momentum. If we get lower highs and lower lows that do not connect, remember, if they do not connect, that makes a bearish continuation channel, and a bearish continuation channel does continue to drop you down, where a descending channel where the highs and lows do connect would end up rebounding you and pushing you up. Momentum does want to pull back. That VWAP is favoring bearish, so watch that VWAP. If it continues to favor bearish here, momentum will lead that money flow into the red, and we will see some bearish momentum. And remember, if that lasts for several hours, we will see that cascade into higher time frames and start to weaken price action. Over on graph for the daily, we did give up that orange EMA, so I would watch that long lower shadow candle was not followed by a green candle, and this does give us the potential for a rounding top to break us down. Stochastic does want to round, RSI is pulling back, that VWAP is pushing that neutral, that yellow wave, so watch that. If it breaks that neutral, at momentum, our blue wave will continue to round, and we can see that money flow continue to head down. It is in the green right now, but once it flips red, if that VWAP and momentum break, we will see further losses. So over on the 1 hour, we are retesting our EMA band, so this is a pretty strong retest. We do want to pay close attention because if we break that 300, we can continue lower. But if we do continue our bounce and we see higher highs with higher lows, we do have a little bit of a gap there, so that does give us an 80% likelihood to continue toward that 17,082. If we continue above that gap, getting higher highs and higher lows, then we could see bulls rebound us. However, if we lose that EMA, then we could attempt to break that 16,316, and that's where the bears could start to gain some more control. We don't quite have any gaps to the downside for us on graph, but we do on other coins. RSI does want to pull back. Our stochastic is pushing forward. VWAP is trying to break bullish, so watch if it holds. If it can hold, momentum will continue further and money flow can make a bounce. But if that VWAP gets a lower high followed by consistent lows from here, money flow will remain in the red. That will weaken higher time frames, and that will cause us to continue to reject. So over on Ankr for the daily, we are trying to hold that point control on our fixed range volume profile. We do have a bit of an indecision candle, so it's not really too strong one way or the other. I would still watch for tomorrow's next candle. It could be a strong red candle, but again, we do have a gap to the upside that we could fill, providing the rest of our altcoins can make a bounce here. We do have higher highs with higher lows that do not connect, so that does give us the possibility of a bullish continuation, which is the opposite of that bearish continuation that can continue to push you up. Stochastic does want to push up. RSI is kind of indecisive, but if that stochastic can maintain bullish momentum, RSI can push price up. VWAP is bullish, momentum is breaking bullish, and money flow is in the green, making a rebound off of that neutral, so we do look positive here on the daily. Over on the 1 hour, we did make a bounce off that 300 EMA. That is positive. We did fill a gap and continue forward, filling another gap. So this does show how those gaps can work for you. We also left this gap here. We did crash, tried to fill it, and then we wicked back up, filling two gaps pretty much at the same time. Stochastic does want to round away. RSI is pulling back. Momentum is rounding, and that VWAP does want to break our neutral. So watch that VWAP. If it gets lower lows here, momentum could break down, and money flow will follow, breaking into the red. And if we hold in the red, we would see a continued push down and then an attempt to break that 2673. So watch that VWAP very close. We want to bounce or at least make a higher low with a higher high following it. So over on XRP for the daily, we are getting a pretty decent bounce off this 54. If we make a consolidation in this range, we could create a bull flag in our bull flag to help push us forward within it. Stochastic does want to push up. RSI is gaining strength. VWAP does have higher highs, and it did bounce off the neutral, so that is positive. Momentum is pushing forward, and that money flow is trying to break into green. So if VWAP stays bullish, we could see money flow hold into the green, and we could solidify a bounce and push toward that 57. So over on the 1 hour, our stochastic is pulling back. That VWAP does have lower highs with lower lows, so I would warn against any lower highs and lower lows to continue and favor bearish below that neutral. If we favor bearish below our neutral area, we will see momentum crash down, money flow will break from green to red, and price action will start to retrace, possibly breaking our 300 EMA again. Stochastic is pushing down, RSI is pulling back. So again, watch for that VWAP to rebound. If it doesn't, then we could end up retracing here, making a double top, and potentially pushing out of our pattern. So over on ALGO for the daily, we are approaching the bottom of our pattern, and remember, this is a bit of a bearish pattern. We do also have a little bit of a bullish pattern within it, that descending channel. Stochastic does want to push up. RSI is starting to pull back. That VWAP does have higher highs, but it's starting to round, so watch that close, as that momentum does want to pull back with it. So if that VWAP breaks down, that money flow could go from green to red, showing we have selling pressure on the higher time frames. Over on the 1 hour, we did retest that 300 EMA, and we did reject it. We are currently retesting the lower side of our EMA band, so if we reject this again, it's likely we would see a rejection away from this channel, and that would invalidate it. Remember, patterns can be invalidated usually after that third touch to the bottom. When we approach that EMA, that's when we should have seen our break forward, but we did not. We got a lower high right now, so watch for lower lows that could end up pushing us away from this pattern. Our stochastic does want to round away. RSI is starting to pull back. VWAP is running up and momentum is gaining strength. So that does look positive to help push our money flow off of that neutral. But that VWAP will need to stay with higher highs and higher lows from this point and break that 300 EMA. If we can't see that VWAP hold bullish and break that EMA and hold, then we will see bears still remain in control. So last but not least, for DAG for the night, again, if you have any comments, leave it in the chat. Our stochastic is pulling back, RSI is pulling back with it, VWAP is breaking bearish, but we do want to pull forward, so we could make a higher low here, potentially giving us some bullish momentum if followed by a higher high. Momentum is overall pushing down and money flow is weakening, but if that VWAP reverses on lower time frames, we could see that reverse as well. So over on the 1 hour, we do have a lot of zigzaggy action, so we do have a gap toward that 22264. So we could end up rejecting away, filling that gap. I would warn against that. We kind of just keep bouncing around. So we do have about the same number of gaps here as Ankr. So DAG does love its gaps too. Those are decent things to trade. But we do have a long upper shadow candle. And if followed by a red candle here, that could show bulls try to push us up and bears gain control, breaking us away from our EMA band. And if we break away from the EMA band, we could see a lower low following this lower high, giving us a bearish continuation and ending up pushing us away. Remember, we do have a pretty quick drop if we lose this like 21,406. If we lose that, then it's like that 01, that 1 cent area. So we have a pretty big fluctuation in those zones. Our stochastic is pushing down. That VWAP is trying to clean bullish, but we do have lower highs. So watch if it breaks neutral. If it does, our money flow will remain in the red, momentum will reject, and higher time frames will break down. So the next couple hours will be pretty important here. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you have a great